Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Chris Bucher, President of Hancock Whitney Equipment Finance, LLC. Thanks for joining me, Chris.
How are you, Jesse? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and especially from Louisiana, the weather looks nice behind you there. It's probably not as warm as it is here in Arizona, but it looks like a nice clear day.
It's seasonably warm and humid.
Sorry for making you put on a jacket then.
Magic of air conditioning. And we have a lot of it here.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. As do we here in Arizona, especially this time of year. But for those people who might not be familiar with yourself, Chris, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career to date in equipment finance?
Sure. I head up the equipment finance and leasing product and a couple others here at Hancock Whitney Bank. We are a mid-sized bank headquartered on the Gulf Coast, and actually our operation really focuses Gulf Coast United States. If you took San Antonio to Jacksonville on Interstate 10, you'd basically find us with a quick trip up to Dallas, Jackson, and a little bit in Florida. We started our initiative here. I came over from a really great customer-focused bank, Regions Bank, where I was the national sales manager for the equipment finance and leasing product. Prior to that, headed up the equipment finance and leasing product for Hibernia Bank, which was actually the first bank purchased by Capital One in November 2005. But in those previous instances, I was, and I think it's really ingrained in the culture we've tried to build here. Those were two great customer-focused, bank customer-focused companies. And we did run a true bank equipment finance company in both instances. So came over here. Actually, many of the product leaders from the old Hibernia wound up over here. After a few years of twisting my arm, came back here to band back together. And we did start up effectively beginning of 2015. So we're now in our 7th year of operation, which of course, when you first year, you're putting together people, processes, procedures.
Oh, yeah.
So it's our first full year of operation was really 2016. But we built, when we came here, we said that we were not going to be everything to everybody. We were a true bank, middle market to mid-corporate, focused on the credit side and equipment finance terms, mid-ticket to large ticket. That was the specialty of, that was one, our strategic direction, and two, the specialty in which we went out to recruit people. So we knew we recruited specifically for that space. To that point, 7 years later, we are about $1.8 billion in commitments, $1.7 billion in funded debt, and that's just across our equipment finance product. Partner well with, I would tell you, if you really looked at it, our platform's probably built on partnership all the way around. We partner well with our bank partners. We're fully integrated. It's not just a matter of shadow accounting. It's not just a matter of we happen to be there. We're fully integrated with our bank partners throughout the footprint. We market with them. We market aside from them and bring them into our marketing transactions. And the magic of quid pro quo. It's amazing how what that's done for partnership. And very simple reciprocation. It's very good, respectful relationship between our two teams, and actually collaborative. You really think about it. Now, I would say the second leg of partnership, very fortunate to work in a great industry. We've, over the last 20 plus, almost 25 years, built tremendous friendships that have been long lasting. They come around, even after you change roles, come back. It's very collaborative industry. I'm very appreciative of the friends I met in the early days of my converting from a banker to equipment finance and leasing. So the second partnership is within the industry. We have a great capital markets function. It was really a critical part in our building a startup with a middle market, mid-corporate focus. And that is both buying and selling transactions, because we work for a mid-sized bank, very mature, commercial-oriented bank. So I knew that we were going to hit hold limits. At the same time, it was going to allow us to hunt where we wanted in that middle market, mid-corporate space. been successful, good industry partnership. I would tell you the third leg of that stool from a partnership standpoint has really been with our business partners. As you and I know, because of our hopefully go live in the next few days here, but certainly business partners, we're about to utilize your group to outsource our processing, day-to-day operation. Very good partnership. I'm happy to say with LTI, who I've known for that 25 years. Very great. And then as well, the business partnerships that we've built with key specialized legal counsel and key appraisers and asset managers in the business. All that together really allowed us to put together a pretty savvy team to bring to a bank on a de novo startup. There's only so much expertise you can hire in a startup, but that outsourcing relationship, that partnership relationship, is really what enabled us to accelerate the growth path and keep it done right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was going to be my. So, how many employees is Hancock Whitney Equipment Finance currently up to?
Funny, I was just measuring that this morning. We're only up to 26.
26. Okay, 26
yeah.
and 1.8. So. Yeah, I mean that's a good number for the volume you're doing. That's for sure.
Well, it goes again to that outsourcing, right? So I mean, if you look at it, although I have a really good para-lender type team that closes transactions, they're very good. They're very customer focused. They're very detailed, but they're partnering with outside counsel on every transaction we did. So it's that partnering. When you consider our documentation is done by outside counsel, and if we do it very efficiently, that's kept us down and actually has provided scalability for the growth, to your point.
Yeah.
Because particularly when you're not in a major metropolitan or a major equipment finance market, like you can look in the Baltimore area, you can look in other areas of the country. I mean, we're in New Orleans. There are no other equipment finance companies with talent that we can steal. So, we've had to be very careful. We've recruited who we can. We've had to build it, but it's that key outsourcing that's allowed us to scale the product and get it done right.
Well, absolutely, and that was going to be my other question, where it's, what was that like going from Regions, who's been around the industry forever, right, and then you have the ability to now start something up from scratch.
Well, I tell you, Jesse, the core of what we've built so much resembles what we delivered at Regions.
Okay.
Very, very similar. The client selection is very similar to what we're doing. The company, the client profile, credit size, the credit appetite.
Got it.
It was really pretty, from that perspective, from a cultural perspective, it was really a pretty seamless transition. Now, the point was, we went from a very large equipment finance company that was mature, staffed, grew its talent, to a startup. That was the challenge.
But it's almost like you can bring the band kind of back together again. The biggest challenge you have, I guess, with the startup is probably like, how many people can you really afford to bring on before the volume comes?
One more. Well, you're exactly right. One more time where, the outsourcing, and you've got to look at the outsourcing. It's partnership. It's not a vendor relationship. It's really partnership.
Yeah.
And that's how I regard you guys and the group at LTI and the specialized legal counsel we use. I mean, really, I wouldn't be here without you.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, any lessons learned in regards to the last 5 years? In regards to if you had to go back and start over again?
Heck, that's there's a lesson learned every day. How do you summarize it? I don't know any particular one I would highlight. It continues.
It's more of a curiosity.
It's funny. It's every day. It's the continued development of those relationships.
Yeah, and what's interesting is JDR is the third service provider I've worked for, and as you sit there and you get different profiles from equipment finance companies, there's a lot of companies that won't even do business in the state of Louisiana. They won't finance any machinery.
That's an age-old joke, right? I mean, before the passage of the Uniform Commercial Code in Louisiana, I used to joke that was our competitive wall. Right. Obviously, you could do business and you could secure your business. It just scared off the competition.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's fantastic. And so and then you guys are so you're sticking to the large ticket. And so definitely the rifle approach. Any temptation over the years, any business development people like myself that are like, come on, there's a small ticket program. You could easily go into that. Look at the spreads.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, there are several investment bankers that I've had conversations with. But the point is, we're not going to dip our toe in. We're going to do it. We're going to do it right. You know, certainly with the rollout of the technology that you're a part of, you know, that brings us to the step where we can begin to accommodate it from an operational standpoint, having the JDR resource to process those tickets and the automation of the new system, because we're not going to do it without process automation. And that's everything from the automated application to to good credit scoring, which, going back to my earlier banking days, you know, involved when Hibernia rolled out scoring in our business banking group. And we were Little Bank in Louisiana was one of the first to do it nationally in the early 90s. But it's a matter of getting that scorecard correct, and then the process automation to get it all the way through. So one is you're part of it. We're rolling that out. And then two is then it's how do you rinse and repeat that startup? It's a matter of hiring the right talent. Very specialized segment. If we can find the right team, yeah, we're absolutely interested in finding a partner.
Perfect.
But it's got to be the right team, and we have to have the right environment, which we'll be stepping into shortly.
Absolutely. Right team, right cultural fit, and let's go. So I wanted to pivot, if you didn't mind, to you know, I think our paths probably first crossed, Chris, at probably an ELFA event at some point in our careers, and you know, wanted to talk about the trade associations. I think last time we saw each other was I think we were at the funding conference together, and
probably funding conference.
So you know, what are those trade associations, and what have they meant to your career in leasing?
You know, as I had mentioned, I was a banking sales manager when hand was put on my shoulder to go over and take over a commercial finance suite of products, the marketing of asset-based lending, and actually Hibernia's leasing group reporting up to me. I mean, you know, I knew enough about the product from a sales standpoint because my group of bankers sold more of it than anybody else. But tell you that I knew leasing, I did not know leasing. You know, so to that point, I mean, thanks to a lot of industry veterans in that niche that I described, that just helped give me the crash course. I mean, you know, the likes of LaSalle National Leasing, Ed Dalka and his team, friends that I made at B of A and other peer groups, just a collegial industry. Very much appreciated. And that's how we grow. That's one, how we grew, two, how we continue to grow. I mean, I've got to say, I really think this is the best practices industry.
Well, now that you can sit across the table from a competitor who you just maybe won a deal from or lost a deal to, and you can still have a business conversation. And, you know, at the end of the day, there's enough for everyone out there. And as long as people do the right things, people are going to share best practices. So you're kind of spot on.
And the truth is, it's good for all of us. I mean, I've spent, I did 4 years after I came back to the side. I spent the last 4 years on the Bank Middle Market Council, and previous, when I was at Hibernia, spent 4 years on the Bank Middle Market Council then. Just great collaboration between a group of peers. We all have the same interest. If our groups succeed, our industry succeeds. If our industry succeeds, particularly in the banking segment, it helps the entire banking segment of equipment finance and leasing. Particularly to our parent banks.
Nope, absolutely. And those trade associations help foster that environment where you can be face to face with these people to share.
Honestly, I mean, if you looked at what was very challenging period. If you looked at that, coronavirus, March 2020 through the end of 2020, none of us knew, is a shoe going to drop? What's going to happen? Is the economy going? I mean, you can trace interest rates to that point, and then credit spreads. What's happening in repayment? Where are banks going? What are the lending programs doing? Actually, we met as a bank middle market council, for the most part, monthly conference calls, very collegial. What is your company doing? What is my company doing? Very helpful in navigating very questionable waters.
Yeah. Well, and it also makes you feel like you're not by yourself, and just the sharing common ideas.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Other question I have is, so from a mid-large ticket, are there specific industries, or is it basically your focus is just on transactions that fit within a dollar amount?
I think for the most part, our credit appetite, particularly on the direct origination side, very simply matches the bank's credit appetite for mid-market to mid-corporate. And we translate that into the capital market side. I mean, there's not an industry partner out there today that won't tell you that for multiple reasons, right? Looking at the energy industry is going to be tough. The word energy industry is, you could paint that with a very broad brush. It means a lot. So that's the one industry segment that we have to think our way through. But for the most part, we're generalists. Credit's the driver. I mean, if you look at, again, it depends how you set your business model, right? I mean, ours is BB- or better credit. It's bank quality. It's bank quality credit. That's really the driver. No, we're not, as a bank player, we're not an asset player. We're not looking at all at sale of assets for our source of repayment. It's strictly credit.
Got it. Another question I have for you is people who are watching this, if just kind of getting into the industry, what advice would you have to someone, Chris, who is breaking into this market now?
Enjoy it, make friends. There's a lot of resource available. I mean, everything from the people you talk to ELFA is a great group. I mean, and I say top to bottom, we've got good staff. We've got a good staff in Washington. We've got a good staff on the Hill part of it. I would tell you what I have found to maybe the part that doesn't get the credit is as much. It's the state lobby and the monitoring of state laws. ELFA is a great resource there. Scott does a tremendous job of following what's going on around the country and protecting the member firms as legislation pops up here and there. It's a big footprint for him to cover. And again, I mean, then anything from the training events, absolutely worthwhile. But the networking.
Yeah, the networking. I have to give a lot of credit to the advancement of my career through these trade associations like the ELFA. You can sit there and you can have these all day long, but when you face to face in front of somebody and you're sharing common interest, it definitely goes a long way.
Oh, if somebody wants to be a sponge, there's an awful lot of information to get.
And the majority of us people in leasing enjoy talking. So
look, I used to have somebody that worked with us at Hibernia, gritty old industry veteran. I mean, he used the term. He says, "Oh yeah, our industry, it's R&D, research and duplicate."
That's a good one. I haven't heard of that one, but okay, I'm gonna have to steal it. Sorry.
I didn't license it, so.
Well, excellent, Chris. Just kind of one final question I have for you, sir. Of all the different middle market organizations to do business with in the industry, why Hancock Whitney?
Our people, and of course, you don't know that till you meet them and work with them. I mean, I would obviously biased, but I think we've got a team of good, level set, smart, and imaginative people. And that was kind of that was the DNA that we were trying to establish. You know, I've never had the cost of funds to go out and buy business. So we've got to think our way in providing a client solution, thinking it through. And when you meet our team, I think you would see that.
Absolutely. I mean, just from our dealings, the JDR team dealing with your team, we appreciate the partnership, and we're excited to see where things are going to go. You know, not only where you've been in the first 5 years, but what the next 3 to 5 years have in store for you.
Oh, look, selfishly, Jesse, I mean, you know, you're my key to scalability.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you entrusting us with the keys. All right, sir. Well, I greatly appreciate your time this afternoon. Look forward to seeing you. When's the next conference? Actually, no, the Ops and Tech conference right in your backyard.
It's in our hometown. Come, whoever is interested. It's interesting, always an interesting part of the year, but New Orleans is back in business. You'll have a good time.
I'm excited. And once again, Chris, thank you for your time today, sir. Have a good one. Take care.
You too. Thanks, Jess.
All right. Bye.
Bye.